Hello, viewers. My name is Dr. Lucy Kenya. Welcome to my channel. Our discussion is about GMO food. We are looking at the factors about GMO food. This topic has been hot, especially in Africa. We are more concerned on the status of this type of food because in most nations in Africa, this is the time they are being introduced in their nations. And there have been a lot of conversations and challenges and arguments about the GMO food that led me to do a desktop research to establish the facts about what is being discussed. Some nations have even refused to take GMO food once they are offered, especially from third countries, because they are not sure about some of the things that have been of concern to many communities, and that has led me to come up with this topic and to research more about it, to get the facts right, so that we can be more informed about the genetically modified organism food. Engineered by designing plants using genetically modified organisms, GMOs, to be tougher and more, and to have more nutrition value, or to taste better. So scientists are able to reorganize or re-engineer the genetics of some crops so that they can come up with higher yields. They can produce crops that have higher resistance to pests, and even to increase the taste of the food. However, many people have concerns over their safety, and there is much debate about the pros and cons of using GMOs. GMO foods could help in maintaining supplies in the face of changing environmental conditions and the growing population. We know that our population has been growing exponentially, especially in developing countries and in Africa. And due to global warming, we have also seen change in climate, and this has brought the changes in the climate cycle, and many farmers are now confused on the time to plant, and you find that there are a lot of challenges. In developing countries like USA, where the technology has taken root, the FDA trusted source does not require special labeling for GMO food, and this is because they must meet the same safety standards as other foods, and there should be no need, therefore, for additional regulation in that country. However, as we know, GMO foods need special label if it is materially different. If a bigger percentage of the genetic has been modified or changed, we may require special labeling so that consumers are aware that this crop or this type of food has been genetically modified to a certain percentage, especially if it is above 10%. If it's about a certain percentage, it may require appropriate labeling so that consumers are aware, even when they buy those type of foods, they are aware. This, you're able to know the difference from the conventional counterpart, the food that are not engineered genetically. Of course, there are some benefits that goes with genetically modified food. You find that some have higher nutrient value because the gene that make the nutrient can be modified and be targeted, and that can result to food that have higher nutrient value. So that is one benefit that you can say that the GMO foods can bring, can offer to the community and to consumers. These type of foods are also less prone to waste due to that may be brought about by pests and diseases, and also from aging, because scientists can modify them to ensure that they are pest resistant and they can remain for a longer time, maybe in the field, in the market. Take, for instance, the horticultural crops. Once they ripe, do they get spoiled within maybe very few days, like 2 days, they are spoiled, or can they take longer time in the shelves, so that they are not wasted. They are also more likely to grow in areas with poor quality soil. So scientists are able to engineer these foods so that they can grow even in poor, geographical regions where we have low quality soil or certain kind of climatic conditions. They can also allow for more profit because of the high yield. You may have seen some of these crops, like I was looking, for instance, at corn, that can have so many, it can yield so many in one stock. It can have so many. So you can see that they can give farmers higher yields, leading to higher profit. So that's also a benefit that scientists have been targeting to increase yield and therefore to also increase the profit that the farmer would get by ensuring that the pest management and disease management is made possible. They add more value to crops. Because of what you have just mentioned, the nutritional value and the yield level from those that have been genetically modified. They are also known to decrease the price of food, and that will come about because of the forces of demand and supply. We know that when now we increase the price, the supply of that particular food, then the price will come down. After all, the farmer was able to get higher yields, and therefore it will increase the supply, hence reducing the price in the international market. They do offer more useful knowledge for genetics. So there's a lot scientists have learned from this science, and they continue to help in generating more yield and advancing that area. However, we know that there are a lot of concern to some consumers who have not been used to those kind of food. So there are demerits that goes with the GMO foods. From the desktop literature review that I did, I have established that GMO foods, they would make the plants, they would make plants that leave unwanted residue effect to remain in the soil for a long period of time. So genetically modified food, we are saying that there are some remnants. There are some residual effects that would remain in the soil for a long period of time, and that can also have negative impact on crops that should be planted in the future, or even other plants that may grow in that field, including the wheat. They can also pose a threat to the insects that are important in the ecosystem. And this is so because some genetically modified crops are said to be dangerous to some insects, since their genes could be deadly to some insects. Because you have modified the gene of the crop, you know that now when it comes to pollination, it comes to now some pests like bees, when they are looking for the nectar, you may find that it may bring a problem to some pests. Some could be deadly, and that should also be a serious challenge because it will tamper with diversity that was created in the world was created. So they can also produce some weeds that can threaten the lives of animals. So engineered food plants are found to function as mediators to the transfer of genes to wild plants and the creation of weeds. So you find that engineered plants now becoming mediators to the transfer of genes to wild plants like the weeds, and you may find that some weeds may be suppressed by these plants, others may be enhanced. They can enhance them or they can promote, that's the proper term. Some GMO crops can promote some weeds that can grow in areas that were not even grown. And that can also be a major challenge. GMO foods do also threaten crop diversity. And that is one of the major issues that many farmers fear. Because those who oppose the creation of GMO push their argument with regard to the effect of these products having a possibility of reducing drastically crop diversity. And they argue that the genes from GMO crops can spread to organic farm crops, to other organic farm crops, threatening diversity in agriculture. So that's a major challenge if not addressed, because it means that a new or modified crop, it can reduce diversity of similar, of the same variety. And that is not something that is good, because we want to have as many varieties as possible. In as much as they increase the yield and also create crops that are pest resistance and disease resistance, this can be a serious challenge if it is not well addressed or managed. But still on the same area of threat of crop diversity, research that has been done shows that whereas the chance that the strains of one genetically modified crop could pollinate an already existing non-crop is unpredictable or rare in occurrence, it may happen, especially when these crops are planted in large-scale plantations, and there could be, they have the ability to release GM strain during pollination, and thus increasing the risk. So you find that therefore it is a major challenge, especially if this is done on a large plantation. And as a result of crop pollination to non-GMO crops or plants, hybrid strains are created, which means that there is a greater chance of ecological novelty to occur. And new artificial strains will be introduced into the ecosystem, and they can potentially decrease the level of biodiversity through competition. As you know, when you plant two crops in the same plot, there is competition. Some will promote others, others will depress others, and that can be, that's another demerit or challenge that you can see with the GMO foods. They are believed to change the field of agriculture in a negative way, in that any new strain mutant have a potential to change agriculture in a negative way. There is argument that some GMO foods can bring some allergic reaction. Although there is a small risk that that can happen, but this will happen if the genetic change triggers the production of an allergen. In case a GMO modified crop produce some allergen, you find that a certain type of crop can bring about allergic reaction when they are eaten by the consumer. So the risk of outcrossing, where genes from one GMO food pass into wild plants and other crops, can also be a reality. Outcrossing can happen. Reduction in other plant types leading to loss of diversity, that can also happen, and it's also an area of concern. So there are some other concerns that have not been empirically proven. They are not any empirical review or literature to show that that is indeed the case. For instance, changes concern that they can lead to changes in human DNA. So many people fear that it can lead to reduction in the immune system, and that is one reason why many people in Africa, for instance, resist GMO foods. They believe that it can lead to immune deficiency in the immune system. Some people also have raised fears that eating GMO food could lead to genetic change in human beings. This is also not empirically been proven in research, although it's a big area of concern to potential consumers of this food. Another concern is antibacterial resistance. There is this fear that some GMOs contain changes that can make them resistant to certain antibiotics. Once you eat them, that they are likely to make certain antibiotics to be resistant to certain ailments that they were treating before. And in theory, the genes from this plant could enter human or animals when they eat them. And as a result, the person or animal could also develop antibiotic resistance. That is also that's an area of concern. Many consumers or citizens fear that there could be toxicity in body organs that may be brought about by eating GMO foods. So there is no empirical evidence that I was able to grasp about GMO food on that area. So there is no evidence. There is no empirical evidence that GMO foods might impact maybe on the liver, the kidney, and other production systems. Because many consumers, many people fear that GMO food. Just as they are engineered to promote certain quality of the food, they can also be done in a negative way. And as you know, many Africans, for instance, they have been that concern, for instance, that some species of virus they fear have been included in the land. Have not been empirically disapproved or approved. I mean, there is no proven record that this has happened, but they argue that they don't know where the HIV/AIDS came about. They don't know how other viruses, respiratory viruses like COVID-19 came about. And their argument is that they can be targeted in the intention of reducing the population growth in the country. So that's an area of concern that may need to be addressed by scientists if they want this type of technology to take root in the country. So in conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, those who advocate for GMO food should first educate the masses on the pros and cons. GMO food should be also well labeled if they are offered in the market. And in case they differ by a large percentage from the contemporary counterparts that are purely organic. So before a nation begins to grow GMO crops and breed animals, there should be appropriate legislation that are enacted in Parliament to protect the ecosystem and also to protect the lives of any negative impact, because we know that business people are out to get more and more profit. At times, some ethics may be they may not consider adhering to certain ethical requirements. A nation should develop the capacity to produce enough seeds so that that particular nation is self-sufficient in seed supply. Because if you import seeds from United Kingdom or from America, and you start growing in your farms, you have the capacity to produce those seeds. If you don't, it means that you'll be over-relying on the developed nations to supply you food. And you have seen that since growth of these crops can also affect diversity of other organic crops, it means that you are also likely to be creating a situation whereby you over-rely on other nations. Suppose they don't reproduce them. What are you going to do in the future? So all those issues they ought to be addressed. And we should educate the interested stakeholders, the consumers, the farmers, who will be growing the crops, so that they are aware of the repercussion, the pros and cons of those, and whether they want to grow them or they want to stick to the unmodified food. Consider how to preserve the diversity. That should be a key consideration. Diversity is key. Local scientists should develop the capacity to produce the seeds to avoid reliance on the development. That is very imperative. That is very, very important. And if that has not happened, then we should first stick to what we know before we embarking on importing seeds to grow in our farms that may have negative impact, and we need to be assured, the farmers and consumers need to be assured along that line, that whatever they are eating is safe and whether it will have an impact in the future. Thank you very much for listening. You can click the like button there and ring that bell button. Thank you and God bless.